Do you struggle to express your real opinions or disagree politely when making plans or debating work projects with others? In this episode, you will learn natural phrases to show strong agreement, acknowledge viewpoints, and politely differ. Stay tuned to discover how simple shifts in your vocabulary can completely change how professional or relaxed you sound. Get ready to listen closely to some everyday conversations. We're going to put you right into situations where people are talking about what they think and feel.
Pay attention to the specific words and phrases our speakers use to show if they agree with each other or if they have a different opinion. These are super common, and you will hear them all the time. Let's jump into the practice samples.
Hey Mike, I was thinking we could grab some dinner tonight, maybe at that new Italian place downtown. It just opened up.
Oh, that sounds good to me, Sarah. I'm totally on board with that idea. I've been wanting to check it out.
Great, and maybe after we could catch a movie. There's a new action flick playing that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that works for me too. An action movie sounds like a perfect way to finish the night. What time should we plan to meet?
So, Chris, for the new marketing campaign, I was thinking we should really focus on social media influencers. They seem to get the best reach these days.
I see your point, Emily. Influencers are definitely strong, and I mostly agree with that direction. But I'm just wondering if we should also try to get some traditional print ads out there.
Print ads might be a bit outdated for our target demographic, don't you think? Most of our customers are online.
That's a valid point, though. I guess I was just thinking about maximizing exposure across the board. Still, focusing on digital makes a lot of sense.
You know, Tom, I really think the best way to get around the city is by bike. It's so much faster, and you avoid all the traffic.
I don't quite see it that way, Jessica. For me, driving is still the most convenient, especially if you have to carry a lot of stuff or if the weather isn't great.
But the parking is a nightmare, and gas prices are going up. Bikes are better for the environment too.
I have to disagree there. While bikes are good for the environment, from my perspective, the safety aspect in heavy traffic is a real concern for daily commutes.
All right, so we just heard 3 quick conversations, and they all showed different ways people agree and disagree. Mike, what did you pick up on from that first sample with Sarah and you?
In that first one, Sarah suggested dinner and a movie, and I wanted to show strong agreement. I used "that sounds good to me," and I'm totally on board with that. On board with is a really natural way to say you're in full agreement with an idea or plan. It means you're ready to go with it.
Exactly. And you followed up with "that works for me," which is super common for confirming plans or saying something is acceptable. You hear that all the time.
Absolutely, it's very practical. Then in the second conversation, Emily and I were talking about a marketing campaign. Emily brought up influencers. I started with "I see your point," which is a great phrase when you understand what someone is saying, even if you don't fully agree yet.
Yes, "I see your point" buys you a little time and shows respect. You also used "I mostly agree, but I'm just wondering if." That's a softer way to introduce a different idea or a slight disagreement without shutting down the other person.
Right, it leaves the door open for discussion. And when Emily pushed back, I said that's a valid point, though. That acknowledges what she said has merit. It's useful for showing you're listening and considering their view, even if you still have your own thoughts.
Perfect. And finally, in the third sample, Jessica and you had quite different opinions about getting around the city. You started with a pretty direct, but still polite, disagreement.
Yes, I used "I don't quite see it that way." This is a good phrase when you want to express a clear difference of opinion without being rude. It's a bit softer than a blunt, I disagree. Then I followed up with, I have to disagree there, which is more direct but still common.
And from my perspective, is another excellent way to introduce your own viewpoint, especially when it differs from someone else's. It emphasizes that you are sharing your personal opinion.
Exactly. It's a way to state your case firmly but politely. These phrases are all really handy to have in your toolbox for everyday chats.
So let's dive deeper into those first examples we heard. When you want to show strong enthusiasm for an idea, like planning a fun evening, you have several options.
Absolutely. Instead of just sounds good, you could say that's perfect, or sounds fantastic if you're really excited. For plans, I'm definitely in or count me in are great for showing full commitment.
Excellent additions. Moving to the business chat, where opinions might not align perfectly, understanding how to acknowledge someone's input is key.
I see your point truly signals you've processed their idea. Then, to introduce a slight difference without being abrupt, you could try, I understand what you're saying, though I also wonder if, instead of I mostly agree.
That's a skillful way to keep the conversation open. And when you recognize merit in their counter-argument, even if you still have reservations, that's a valid point, though, is super useful.
It shows respect. You're saying, I hear you and there's truth in what you're saying, even if it doesn't completely change your mind. Another option is you make a good argument there.
Perfect. And finally, for those times when you really don't concur, but want to keep the interaction friendly, there are subtle ways to express it.
I don't quite see it that way is milder than a direct no. You might also hear, my thoughts are a bit different on that, or, in a more formal setting, I respectfully disagree with that assessment.
And when you're stating your alternative view, setting it up with, from my perspective, clearly flags that you're offering your personal take.
Right, it gives your opinion weight without making it sound like a universal truth. You could also say, the way I look at it is, to introduce your view.
Now, let's place some of these phrases into different daily scenarios. For instance, I'm totally on board with that.
Imagine a friend texts, hey, want to try that new escape room this weekend? You could reply, yeah, I'm totally on board with that. Sounds like a blast.
That shows enthusiasm. How about I see your point in a work context?
Your colleague suggests a new filing system. You might say, I see your point about needing to organize the documents better. It's getting a bit messy.
Good, and that's a valid point, though, maybe while shopping.
The salesperson at the electronics store tells you the larger TV model uses significantly more power. You could respond, that's a valid point, though. I hadn't considered the extra electricity cost.
Excellent. Now, for expressing a different opinion gently, I don't quite see it that way.
If a friend says, I think summer is definitely the best season for vacations, you could reply, I don't quite see it that way. I prefer traveling in the spring.
And finally, from my perspective, used when presenting your viewpoint more deliberately.
During a team discussion about a new project deadline, you could state, from my perspective, an extra week would allow us to deliver a much higher quality final product.
Those examples really highlight how adaptable these phrases are. Let's talk about sounding more relaxed versus more polite when you speak.
Definitely, with close friends, you might simply say, yeah, totally, to agree. But in a more professional setting, you'd likely opt for something like, I completely agree with your assessment.
Exactly. Declining an offer from a friend could be a quick, nah, I'm good. But if it's a colleague inviting you to an event, you'd use, I appreciate the invitation, but I won't be able to make it.
Or even something like, my take is that, if you're offering an opinion among friends, whereas in a work meeting, my viewpoint sounds more considered and professional.
The key is understanding your audience and the situation. A casual sounds good, works perfectly for dinner plans with family.
But a more deliberate, that sounds acceptable, thank you, would be appropriate if you're confirming details with someone you don't know well.
It's all about fine-tuning your response to match the social context. A simple for sure works with a buddy.
However, if you're in a more structured discussion, I concur with that point, conveys a different level of respect and seriousness.
Understanding that flexibility is crucial. Let's put some of these concepts into a rapid-fire scenario round. What's the best way to respond if a colleague suggests a project idea that sparks genuine excitement in you?
For real enthusiasm, you could declare, "That's an absolutely brilliant idea. I'm completely on board with it."
Perfect. How about when a friend proposes a weekend activity you truly have no interest in doing, but you want to decline gently?
In that case, try, "I appreciate the thought, but I think I'll have to pass on that one," or simply, "That's not really my thing, to be honest."
Excellent. And for our final quick challenge. During a team brainstorm, someone brings up a concern about a new proposal, and while you see their point, you still believe in the original direction.
You might say, "I definitely acknowledge your concern regarding the timeline, though I feel the benefits of this approach still outweigh the risks."
Fantastic. Those quick responses really show how to navigate tricky social dynamics. Now, to wrap things up, what are your top 3 high-value communication tips from today's discussion?
First, when you love an idea, use vivid language like "that's fantastic" to convey your full support and energy. Second, always show respect by acknowledging others' contributions. Phrases such as, "I understand your perspective," go a long way, even if you don't completely agree. And third, learn to express disagreement or offer a different viewpoint politely, using softer phrases like, "I don't entirely concur," or "from my perspective, it's different."
Those are incredibly valuable takeaways that can improve any conversation. Thank you for sharing these insights with our listeners today. We hope these tips empower you to speak English with greater confidence and precision. If you enjoyed this episode and want to continue boosting your vocabulary, be sure to subscribe to the Double Your Vocabulary podcast wherever you listen, and tap that notification bell so you never miss a new release. We look forward to joining you again soon.